coming back home. Know that you're coming back home. Know that you're coming back.
So, good day everyone. This is Marianne Piabra Mateo again, a third-year student from Leighton Normal University. For today's video, I am going to discuss to you guys the theories of global stratification and market structure. So, without further ado, let's get started. To begin with, Russell's model of growth theory has 5 economic stages, which are traditional society, preconditions for takeoff, drive to maturity, and the age of mass consumption. In traditional society, the stage is characterized by a subsistent agricultural-based economy with intensive labor and low levels of trading, and a population that does not have a scientific perspective on the world and technology. Since the economy is characterized by activities for subsistence, trade in the output of production is insignificant or almost inexistent. The production process uses traditional technology and resources. Allocation is governed by non-market mechanisms. And as a consequence, the economy is predominantly agriculture using labor-intensive techniques due to low level of capital. Next is preconditions takeoff means more merchandise and more products are being produced or traded. Among the preconditions are the idea that economic progress is possible, education broadening to meet the needs of enterprise, prepared to take risks for the sake of profits, the appearance of banks, the emergence of a centralized national state. While in takeoff is about political and social institutions who starts to develop external finance that still be required. There is often a dual economy apparent with rising productivity and wealth in manufacturing and other industries contrasted with stubbornly low productivity and real incomes in rural agriculture. With the preconditions established, the economy is able to take off into sustained growth industries and investment expand rapidly. And so do towns, the class of entrepreneurs, the use of natural resources, and the new methods of production. The drive to maturity is a stage where, over a long period of time, it is used as standards of living rise, the use of technology increases, and the national economy grows and it diversifies. While in the age of high mass consumption, at the time of writing, Rousseau believed that Western countries, most notably the United States, occupy this last developed stage. Here, a country's economy flourishes in a capitalist system, characterized by mass production and consumerism. In addition, they are accompanied by distinct changes in politics, technology, society, and the economy. Economic transformations are shown by rapid capital accumulation, development of one or more industries, particularly in manufacturing, and the emergence of political, social, and institutional structures that bring about changes towards the expansion of modern sector, the use of capital in business, and mobilization of resources. In the light of these conditions, has the economy of the Philippines taken off towards sustained growth. So, moving on, we will going to differentiate the 3 theories of globalization stratification. And according to modernization theory, nations in other parts of the world never became wealthy and remain poor today because they never developed the values and practices. Instead, they continued to follow traditional beliefs and practices that stymied industrial development and modernization. I should be clear, modernization theory has much in common with the culture of poverty discussed earlier. It attributes the poverty of poor nations to their failure to develop the proper beliefs, values, and practices necessary for economic success, both at the beginning of industrialization during the 19th century and so because of modernization theory, it implies that people in poor nations do not have the talent and ability to improve their lot. It falls into the functionalist explanation of stratification. Modernization theory of Rostow's economic stages of growth. This model suggests that countries go through a predefined set of 5 stages before becoming a fully developed nation. Whereas modernization theory attributes global stratification to the wrong cultural values and practices in the poorest nations. Dependency theory blames global stratification on the exploitation of these nations by the rich ones. According to this view, poor nations never got the chance to pursue economic growth because early on they were conquered and colonized by European ones. The European nations sold the poor nations' resources and either enslaved their populations or used them as cheap labor. Because dependency theories implies that poor nations remain poor because of lack of opportunity, owing to exploitation by wealthy nations. It falls into the conflict perspective of stratification. An example of this dynamic occurred during the 1990s in the poor Western African country of Nigeria, where the Royal Dutch or Shell Oil Company at the time was pumping half of the nation's oil. Under the stratification economics framework, the structures and processes that affect group ability to transfer resources from one generation to the next are the essential factors explaining persistent disparities between groups. Wealth inequality, for example, is understood as a result of a long-term process in which exclusionary social policies, property dispossession, and disparities in access to opportunities all have an effect on groups' ability to pass on resources across generations. So further, stratification economics highlights the feedback loop associated with the generation, accumulation, and transfer of resources. So we often think of wealth as an outcome, but its true essence is functional. Wealth empowers individuals to consume and invest in different ways. And wealth is iterative. Wealth often generates more wealth, both within and across generations. The wealthier families are better positioned to finance elite educations, access capital to start a business, financial expensive medical procedures, reside in a higher amenity neighborhoods, exert political influence, the purchase of better counsel if confronted with an expensive legal system, leave a bequest, and withstand financial hardships resulting from any number of emergencies, including a global pandemic. So, the basic problems of an economy can be solved either by a decision of the government or by the market through interactions of buyers and sellers. The centrally planned or socialist economy, here the government or the central authority plans all the important activities including production, distribution, exchange, etc. The government will try to distribute those resources which are useful to the society. For example, if services such as public health or basic education will benefit the society, the government will make such goods or services available. If there is a part of the society receiving little share of the goods and services produced, the government will ensure equal distribution of those goods and services. So, my suggestions to improve the economic conditions in the Philippines. And in order to solve economic stratification is to reduce restrictions on foreign investors, example, allow foreign competition in sectors and reduce equity limits. Minimize the use of controlled prices to reduce market distortions. Reduce trade costs by improving port and logistics infrastructure. Lower non-tariff barriers and procedural obstacles. So that's it for today's vlog, and I hope you learned something.